George, you appeared, I believe, in the London company of the film, and what part were you playing? You were playing Riff, right?
I play, yes, it was playing at, excuse me, Her Majesty's Theatre in London, and I was playing Riff. I did it for a year and a half before I got to do the film.
After being in the stage show in London and then coming to West Side Story with Robert Wise and Jerome Robbins and Walter Mirisch and all this, what was the big shift in your head as far as adjusting to the film version of it? And you're playing a different role,
well,
too.
The big shift, I suppose, and people often ask me about it, was playing Bernardo rather than Riff. And sometimes people ask me if that was a hard kind of move to make, and it wasn't at all. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I attribute that to is doing the show in London. In the first, Riff and Bernardo in the play are dead at the end of the first act. So the second act, we've got nothing to do. And I mean, there was, but it's not in the movie. But the loudspeaker is on all the time, and you hear everything that's going on stage constantly. So with a kind of osmosis, I suppose, you become so familiar without trying to become familiar with everything about the theater, everybody's part, how they came in, how they spoke, how they sounded, and Jerry's direction, and all of that. So when I got the call, it was a letter from United Artists to say they wanted to test me for the film, and they asked me to do a scene as Riff and a scene as Bernardo. A few of us in the company did that, and they took us out to Shepperton Studios outside of London. And in the course of the day, we all did our respective tests, and it all felt so great. And so then we drove back to the show to do to theater to do the show that night. And then we'd ask each other in the weeks that came, passing each other in the hall, "Have you heard anything? Have you heard anything?" No. So after, I think, 5 or 6 weeks, we all thought, well, that was over. And then after about 6 weeks, one evening before the performance, I got a call at the stage door from Jerry Robbins, a phone call. And I'm too nervous to remember all of it, but he said, "We like your test, but we'd like to test you further. Could you get a week's leave of absence?" And of course, the theater gave me that. So I left London and came to LA for a week. I got to see my family. I met Bob Wise for the first time. And I did a test as Bernardo with a wonderful girl whose name is Barbara Luna, who I think was a sort of hot contender for the role of Anita at the time. And it was a fantastic kind of week. So because I got to be home, I got to see Jerry, I got to meet Bob, and it was wonderful. And then on Sunday, I flew back to London and went back into the show. That felt great. It just felt great to be in the theater again, Mm-hmm. And then those weeks started to go by. And I think after about 10 weeks, I got Bob Wise is such a lovely man. Mm-hmm. He does things he doesn't have to do. But I got a letter one day from him, a lovely letter saying, "We're sorry we haven't let you know anything." He didn't have to do that, but he was kind enough to do it. He says, "But we haven't cast our Maria. And until we cast our Maria, we don't feel sure we could cast Bernardo."
Right.
But as it happened, I don't remember how, but they did cast me for the film before they cast Maria. I suppose just however things went.
That was the very last role we cast. We were very nervous about making the right choice for Maria. We tested, I can't remember how many girls, and finally we discovered Natalie Wood, who was starring in a film of Ilya Kazan's at the time. In any event, we finally decided that was the best way for us to go. And Maria completed our ensemble.
Fantastic.
Okay. So then, let's see. So I think they were already rehearsing about 2 months before I was able to get there. And so I continued rehearsing with all of them. And I don't know how much later it was that Natalie came onto the picture. But when I remember the first time I saw her, Rita and I were up on a higher level rehearsal studio, work out probably on America, and I saw this very pretty girl down there, just dressed like anybody else, and walking down the road, probably coming. And anyway, it was Natalie, and I just remember her so really. So this sounds like the sort of thing you're supposed to say, okay? But I'm not saying it for that. I'm saying it because I really mean it. I thought she was absolutely darling. And by the way, I think you really picked a fantastic Maria. I do. Not just me. But she was darling. But, you know, we all knew she was a movie star. She's only 23, but she was a movie star. So I think there was a little bit of that. I mean, she didn't display or show any of that, but she couldn't help but feel it, at least for me. I don't know how you. But anyway, so then Natalie was there, and we ended up rehearsing the entire film before they photographed anything. The first thing was the prologue in New York. So it was kind of like rehearsing a show, something for the theater. Everything, all the tape marks were on the floor in the rehearsal room and so on. And it was such a fantastic time.